Hi, Ben.
Hi, Ryan.
How are you?
I am exhausted, actually.
Yeah, I can imagine.
So, what's our starting topic this
Our
week?
starting topic last week it was Elden Ring Night Ring.
You said
Now,
last
I
week.
sure did. Think about last week, is that episode doesn't exist.
Yep, we fucked up the audio
You
recording.
don't have to say we. That's very generous of you, but I fucked up our audio recording.
You're the one who takes care of everything, so I don't want to also put all the blame on you, since you also should get all the credit.
Well, it's the problem is that both of them have to be true at the same time.
Mm.
If something does f up, I am the one who did it. I'm opening a bottle. No, things went poorly. But if things go well, I did great. So I effed up. I don't exactly know how or why, what happened, but for some reason our usual recording setup just didn't work properly. Maybe it's because I changed some stuff. I don't know.
So, because of that, we're basically going to rehash a lot of what we talked about last week, which was about Elden Ring Night Rain, and of course about UFO 50, because I'm so
Yeah,
obsessed with it. And that's going to work out because pretty much all of this week, all we've done is play Elden
Elden
Ring
Ring
Night
and
Rain and UFO
UFO
50
50. Yeah,
again,
yeah,
so
yeah.
that's all we want to talk about again anyway.
Yeah,
The only issue is I don't think I'm going to be able to muster the same amount of energy because I'm quite tired from a late night.
that's totally valid.
Just throwing
Don't
that out there
worry,
now for
I'll
our
have enough
listeners.
energy for both of us. The other elephant in the room is the room.
Yeah, okay, so we're in a different recording studio this week.
Yeah, that is not actually as integral. So this place we go to, Cam Erie, in a location that I will not tell you. That way you can't find us.
Yeah, casually dox us, please.
Well, it's I mean they, you know.
In the place we were recording, we're just having a bit of conflicts with someone recording in the studio next to ours. We just decided to move a little farther down so we wouldn't be picking up their audio by accident.
We didn't want to bother them. They seemed nice.
Yeah, they seem
I
nice.
think they're doing a talk show, which looks pretty cool.
Does seem pretty cool. That's very professional.
Yeah.
Not like this little podcast thing that we do.
Hey, it's getting more professional. I have a person on making our art look cooler.
I didn't know that. That's really cool.
Yeah, my coworker at work is also does design stuff on the side, and she offered to redesign her stuff a little bit.
That is very cool.
I think you're gonna like it when it's finally done and when I get it all animated. But yeah, that was the beginning topic of last week's episodes. The starting topic for episode 5 is episode 4,
Yep, there we
the
go.
missing episode.
And do you want to get into talking about Night Rain again? Because you've had a second week now to appreciate it.
I sure do. Okay, so Elden Ring Night Rain. You've not heard of this, I assume. It's a very niche game, very very low to the ground. You got to be somebody like me who gets in on betas and stuff early. It's like really, really, really good.
Oh, yeah?
I've actually technically beaten it, kinda, sorta.
You mean like beating us? When you say beat it, is it like, winning a match in Dota where you can
No,
go
no,
a very
no.
long time before you actually do that?
No, it is. There's bosses. The whole idea is it's a boss rush.
Okay.
So re-explain. I already explained this to you last week, but that doesn't exist anymore. The idea is that it's very similar in nature to a battle royale, where you drop into a map, and it's like the Elden Ring map, but shrunk down, more of a vertical slice of it.
Yeah, and it's got the enclosing ring that keeps
Yep.
on shrinking.
There's no other players besides your co-op team, obviously, but in a sense, it's like a battle royale.
Yeah.
You can play it solos or trios, and they're gonna add duos soon, so that you can go twos, threes, or just yourself. And there's 8 different characters. There's the Wilder, the Revenant, the Iron Eye, the Guardian, the Duchess, the Recluse, and then I forgot the other ones.
Last week we spent a lot of time going over each of them and what their different abilities
Yeah, we're
were.
not doing that this week. Because I haven't played. I've played all of them now. I have all of them. You unlock 2 of them. I've unlocked all of them. They're all fine, but like it's not worth going over again. If people have probably played it, if they haven't played it, they can look it up.
Yeah, I mean, that's a fun part of the game to discover. Why spoil it?
Yeah, exactly. Why did we do that last week? Because I was really excited about it. That's why.
Yeah, no, actually, it's really fun. You should check that stuff out.
Yeah, you should absolutely. If you haven't checked the game out, or if you had doubts about it, I promise you, it's much better than you're imagining.
That's
There's a lot of.
FromSoft in a nutshell, isn't it?
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, no, because like I just kind of trust that they're gonna make good games. I find the dissension for this game, because it's not a Dark Souls-esque game. It's not just like a Metroidvania style single player experience, to be odd.
Yeah.
I thought it was really odd the amount of people who were like, I don't trust that this game's going to be good, even though it's a FromSoft game made by FromSoft, because of this other stuff. And it's like,
See, I'll put a pin in that. I want to talk a little bit about that after we're done talking about all the good stuff about the Elden
Oh,
Ring.
sure. Things I've discovered since last time I've gone through. There's a thing called remembrances. So there's not really a story in Elden Ring Night Ring, at least that's what they told you, but there kind of actually is with each individual character.
There's lore.
There, not even lore. There is a journal that you go through, and as you play the game, they add new entries.
Okay.
And when they add certain entries, they call a thing called remembrance, which is where you do like a little mission with that character.
Okay, that's cool. I love that kind
And
of thing.
like for example, the easiest to explain is the raider. That was one of the other two, so the ones I forgot.
Nice.
The Raider's remembrance is that he has to go and do like a battle gladiator style thing where he has to fight in the big thing.
Very cool.
He has to go to a giant grave in the back and he has to fight some people. That's the whole idea. But they also have stuff where you'll go into the map and you'll fight an enemy in the game, or you have to beat a certain boss, like with the Revenant. You have to beat the first or like seventh boss.
Okay.
There's also there's weapon abilities. So every weapon has a special art.
Yeah,
Like
that's
from
something that they started pushing really hard. Like they started Dark Souls 3 and then
Dark Souls 3 is the
Elden
one that
Ring,
really
like
had
it's
that.
an entire system that they
Yeah.
play around with.
In this, they have all that too, but the weapons will also have abilities and attributes that they can add to it. Like they might be like increased range damage,
Ooh.
but those are passive and they are just have to be in inventory. So you might find like a sledgehammer that's really good at increasing your ranged weapon for some reason, and you're playing Iron Eye, the guy who uses the bow and arrow.
Okay, and it
hooks
just
it
sits
up,
in your
It
inventory.
just sits in your inventory, and now your range is better.
It's honestly genius.
Yeah.
Because like it's just like you encourages you to just grab everything and not fucking worry about like whether this shit's gonna work for your character or not.
And it's like, well, oh, this is not, I'm not. If you're playing Iron Eye, you're mostly doing bows and arrows. In fact, almost everything you do is going to be with that. But it's like, oh, well, this sword over here is really good with what I'm doing, though.
Is there ever conflicts with the other players over loot? Like, do you have shared loot, or
There
do you have like individual?
There probably would be if I played like online with random people, but I play with like our friends.
Oh, so you can actually communicate and
Yeah,
stuff like
so
that.
I play like with Nathan and Mike and all those people who we know personally in real life, and it's obviously playing with them is it's easy because it's just like, oh, do you need this? I got that. Look for this for me. Okay, cool. Oftentimes when you're playing, especially if you're playing Iron Eye or like one of the like non-sword or hammer classes, your options for weapons are pretty bad.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's only a couple legendary weapons for Iron Eye and the Recluse, for example. There's like two, which is not great. But you'll go to beat like a minor boss in the field. You'll beat it and you get like an option for a special weapon
Yeah.
or a perk. Most of the time you don't get one that helps your class at all, so you just give it to somebody else.
Yeah.
Or you take the perk.
It's like playing Elden Ring, and you want to play like a melee character, and you just keep on finding spell after spell after
Pretty
spell after
much,
spell.
except it's the opposite.
But at least they've got this system where if you have the spells in your inventory, even if you don't use them, it buffs your other stuff.
Yeah, theoretically, it depends on what they do.
Yeah, very
Some of
good
them-
idea.
Yeah.
In terms of like that whole debate over like the quality or whatever, it's less about like the quality and more getting away from the core audience of FromSoft, if this makes any sense.
Right, okay.
So like I was watching a video by this guy named Frost. He used to be on you know him because he was on the Second Wind podcast, or he was before he had that big falling out.
Oh, right, him. Yeah, I know him.
But he's now like basically got his own channel where he just does gaming industry pessimism.
Well, yeah, that's kind of his thing.
But his one video was really good, and I wanted to like share that idea where a lot of industry figures, like the people in corporations that make the decisions, not the developers who are actually making the games,
Yeah.
will assume that like RPG fans are dedicated to their RPGs and they'll play any RPG that comes out, and they don't have to really worry about not having a core audience for that genre. So when it comes to like niche genres like that, what they like to do is they like to mix it with the more mainstream stuff. So take BioWare's history as an example. They
Okay.
used to make hardcore RPGs, and then when they started branching out, you had Mass Effect, which was like, a pseudo-shooter RPG that became more and more and more of a shooter and less of an RPG as time went by. Because the idea is they think of RPG players as living in caves, and you got to kind of get them out of their caves and get closer to the mainstream audience so you can capture that bigger net of players.
Oh, that's so gross.
and they will push it farther and farther and farther, trying to get those gamers, out of their caves until they don't want to anymore. And then you get a case like Anthem, which is like, this isn't an RPG at all anymore. This is a live service looter shooter, and there's no audience for it.
I will make one point about Anthem is that I think there was an audience for it.
Yeah.
It just wasn't the BioShock audience. Or
Exactly.
BioWare
It
audience.
wasn't the core audience. They got too far away from them.
But the other issue, though, is I think it would have been fine. The game would have been like done well and been fine had it not been really bad. Like
Yeah.
it's been poorly created and made, and like I don't remember the details because I did not play it. But our mutual friend Aiden did play it, loved it.
I didn't. He played it and
enjoyed
liked
it.
it.
Until it became too bad because
Yeah.
he was extremely excited for it. He gets excited for the weirdest games ever. He was so excited for Skull and Bones. I don't even understand how you.
I've known multiple people who are super excited for
I
Skull
don't
and Bones
get it.
specifically. I never got it.
I
but
don't understand.
something about that game, it inspires a certain type of person. I'll say that.
But yeah, he was really excited for it until it got to a certain point. And one of the big issues with that game was the way they did damage. It was just like it didn't work.
Yeah.
Like it just wouldn't function properly for what they were trying to do.
Huh.
It was really odd. But yeah.
To finish up that thing, Frost mentioned the alternative idea, which I agree with, is when you've got like a really hardcore audience, just keep on feeding them and make their experience better and better, and they'll get talking about their favorite games, and that's what attracts people from the mainstream into the caves.
Yeah.
And that is what happened with FromSoft. We had a fairly obscure company who made some early RPGs that were okay on the PlayStation, some very forgettable games, a couple of good stealth games.
And
then they had a fairly successful mech franchise, considering, that small
Armored
audience.
Core, yeah.
And then Demon Souls.
Yep.
And then Dark Souls. And Dark Souls is the one that really got the attention.
Dark Souls
and
is
then
great.
Bloodborne.
Dude, Bloodborne.
And then it just fucking exploded from there. And now FromSoft drew in that, those mainstream audience into the caves. But now it feels like they're moving back out again, and they're making these live service things, and they're moving farther away from the RPG area.
I will contend one big point. This game is not a live service game.
Okay, what do you mean by that?
It does not have any microtransactions.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a big thing.
Yeah, it doesn't have any microtransactions. None of that I could find anyway, and I've been looking because I wanted to be sure. All the cosmetics you have to unlock them.
Okay.
So you don't even have the opportunity to get cosmetics until you beat 2 Night Lords, which is the main bosses.
Oh, that's cool.
So you don't even have the option. And then you additionally don't have the option to get the really cool stuff like Solaire.
Oh, you can unlock Solaire's outfit?
You can until you beat the Night Lord, the main knight aspect, the main boss in the game.
See, they're using the cosmetics as very, very good motivation.
Exactly. So it's a live service in the sense that they need to have their servers on for it to work.
So,
But beyond that,
have you ever played Splatoon?
No, I've never played it.
Splatoon is formatted like a live service game. It feels like a live service game in every sort of aspect. Except, again, no microtransactions. They don't expect you to buy anything.
Yeah.
Instead, all of the live service mechanisms that are meant to motivate players to purchase things are instead just motivated to keep you playing, which is the other thing. It's double focused on that. And I find that kind of gameplay fucking exhausting. Like when I have to log in every single day to get my randomized thing or whatever.
Yeah, I agree.
I can't fucking do that shit.
Well, you can, but until you stop once, you can no longer do it again.
Well, yeah, I get burnt out hard, and then I get really resentful, and I'm like, dude, I don't want to play the game. I don't want to log in every single day just for a little bit to do the thing. That is so tedious that I am more angry over doing that than...
It does not have that.
Yeah.
You don't have to log in every day. It basically just plays like Dark Souls 2, where you've got that hub area.
Oh, man, Dark Souls 2.
What is it? Bear, seek less or something like that?
I have no idea. Is that a meme?
No, yes, it's a Dark Souls 2 meme. It's from, there's the character that you talk to level up.
I can't remember. Oh, the Emerald Herald.
Whatever her name is. You talk to her, and then you skip through the dialogue, and it's like bear, seek less. Because you don't let her finish.
That's funny.
But it's kind of like that, where you're kind of just like running around this hub area. You can figure out who you want to play. You can test out your gear. You can test out weapons. And then as soon as you're ready, you go into the middle and you pick a boss that you want to fight or multiple.
Mm-hmm.
And you go in, you go pop, and then you go fight.
One and done.
You don't have to play it every day. You don't got to do it as much as you want. You can just play till you get the cosmetics you want, or you can play till you get... There are relics that affect... They're
So-
like the main through line throughout everything where they're the constants. You can
So
add
it
stuff.
is just a well-designed, well-balanced online experience with friends.
Yes.
What? That's so fucking weird. I can't remember the last time I've ever heard of a game like that.
They are going to release a DLC, but it's notably a DLC. It isn't like...
Like, you purchase it once and then you're done.
Yeah. And it'll come with new characters and new bosses and new, like, forms for each boss.
Oh, God. You know, actually, this does kind of remind me of how online video games used to be
Yeah,
before
remember
live
back?
service stuff.
Back in the day.
Yeah, like, I'm just thinking, like, wait a minute. This is how you could just get on and you would play Battlefield or you'd play
Yep.
Call of Duty because those are games you wanted to play for the
Remember-
gameplay.
Remember when you could play Call of Duty Black Ops and you could play it, have fun, and then if you wanted to, like, new weapon modifications, you just buy them with the in-game currency you earn as you play.
Yeah. Oh, my God.
Can you imagine that?
So nostalgic for that era of games from our childhood.
Our childhood last, like, 20 years ago, not even, like, 10 years ago. 10 years ago, not even.
It's one of the things I hate about online discourse is people like always claiming that this is the greatest era for video games ever because we've had some really good games come out, you know. Because that's the thing, like it doesn't matter what is going on in the gaming industry.
There's
Good
always
games
good
will be
games.
made because
Yeah.
there are people who are passionate about video games.
Indie developers. Well, one point I'd make toward that is that indie developers have kind of gone crazy lately. Like indie devs are making everything.
Well, that's because they're not indie anymore. They're using indie as a label to say small budget games. But like when you've got like Devolver Digital stuff, that's not
not even what I'm
independent.
talking about.
That is a publisher.
That's not what I'm talking about.
Well, what are you talking about?
I'm talking about like they're a buttload of people who are like one person and they're making a whole game.
Oh yeah, like the itch.io crowd.
Well, there's the itch.io crowd, but there's also more games like that. And there's like small teams, like the guys who made Lethal Company. That's like 3 dudes.
I did not know that.
Valheim is the same thing. Valheim is like was when it started, like literally 4 people.
Okay, so I'll give the indie devs more credit than I have been. I don't think I'm paying attention to the right places.
Probably. I mean, I think do you know how many people are on UFO 50?
It's not a very big team.
No, it isn't. And I know the person who did.
They're also old school indie devs because, like,
Yeah.
Derek Hughes, like the classic when indie games started really popping off after Braid, I think was like the big one on the Xbox Arcade.
Probably, yeah. The person who made Last Call BBS, which is a very similar-ish game to UFO 50. It's like 5 games that are on the idea is you're playing on an old Atari.
Oh, I love that.
Like not even old Atari. Like I don't even know what it would be, but it's like after Atari where it has an operating system and like a GUI, a graphical user interface.
I don't know about that stuff.
The graphical user interface is just like what Windows is.
Okay.
So it has like windows and stuff like that, and you can click around. It looks like an actual computer, but it
I
looks
thought
like a
that's
computer.
the operating system.
The operating system is the thing that like runs in the background.
This
What's
is
making
now a
your-
podcast of Ryan teaching me technical knowledge.
It's not intending to be, but the point is that it's the same concept, and this is as
UFO.
It's the same concept as UFO 50. Instead of being a console, it's like a really old like 80s style PC, and you play old games and you run them. You have to like download them on a fake server and everything,
That's real. Okay, that part's really cool.
and you have to do all this fun stuff. And they're really good games. One of them is one where you build little Gundams.
You build little Gundams.
You take them out of the box. You have to snip them off of their plastic things. You put them together, and you can paint them.
Have you ever built Gundams before?
I have not. I've built some Warhammer 40K stuff.
Okay, so I was gonna bring that up for like, because people will look at Warhammer stuff and be intimidated of cutting them out of the plastic, gluing the pieces together, stuff like that.
It's really not that bad.
Well, Gundam is this great like mid-step between that and Lego.
Yeah.
Like it is so easy. It is actually incredibly fun. But it is a little bit more technical, a little bit more difficult than playing with Legos. It makes you feel a little bit more grown up.
I saw a dude make a Gundam out of a piece of paper.
Out of paper?
He
Like an
took
origami
like an
Gundam?
origami Gundam. He took like it was literally like a box, and it opened up, and it was just one giant piece of paper,
All one piece.
all one piece.
Did he make any cuts?
No,
Okay, so weird thing. Uh, Out of all the hyperfixations over mine and my siblings' lives, origami was an early one for my older brother.
okay,
And that was something that was a really big thing with him. It was like, it's all going to be one piece of paper and you can't make any cuts. It can only be folding. Otherwise, it's like ruining the spirit of it or something like that. And that's been ingrained in my head since I've been like 4 years old.
that's great.
It's like, real origami, you only use one piece of paper
Yep.
and no cuts.
Maybe there's an argument for color, but anyway.
Yeah, no, I mean, we had like these really cool books of like tons and tons of like origami things you could make and instructions.
Yeah.
And it came with like a collection of like specially colored, like it almost looked like wrapping paper, like texture patterns and stuff like that. So you'd
Yeah.
have like really, really cool looking little origami creatures and stuff.
That's cool. I didn't know that. I didn't know origami was a thing that was integral to your life.
Not integral, just like, you know,
your childhood.
it was a mild hyperfixation for a while.
Yeah. So let's talk about UFO 50 now.
Again, we're going to talk about... So last week, I did my top 5 worst games on UFO 50, and I was very excited and very passionate about that. And when we were done recording, I was very proud with how the recording went.
Yep.
That's my favorite part, by the way, listeners, is that literally when we were done recording that episode, we kept on slapping each other on the back about how good of an episode that
It sure was. You'll never see it.
You'll never see
It's
it.
dead.
But
But it was great. This one's just a tribute.
So quickly, I'll just go over the list again. I'm not gonna like go over my reasons, but the 5 worst games from least bad to worst were, hold on now. Divers was the 5th one, I believe. Then Barbuda,
Divers.
Golfaria,
Divers, Barbuda, Golfaria. Hotfoot was obviously in
Hotfoot, and then Combatants.
there. Combatants, yes.
And Combatant, like that one, you found actually really exciting. Even though I
I-
named it my least favorite game in the collection.
It's so well. It's interesting because the way that you described it, right at the time, if I'm rephrasing correctly, was that it is an experience that the developer wanted to recreate from when he played a sports game.
Yeah, it was
That
a
was-
hockey game on the Nintendo 64. It was with it was like a Wayne Gretzky hockey
Yeah,
game.
and it was notably like impossible to beat unless you cheated, and that's the idea for Combatants is that you have to cheat.
Yeah,
to win.
you have to figure out the way to play the game that was clearly not intended by the developers, except in this case it actually is secretly intended by the developers.
Yeah, I tried, failed, didn't figure it out.
Okay, so
I might go back and try again. I might just look for a guide to give me like the first way there, so I can see what I have to try and look for. But I got like one done, and then I went to the next one. I couldn't do it. So I still find the idea to be really interesting and cool. It's just now I have to actually look for a bug, effectively, not like an ant, you know.
yeah. So this week, rather than going over the top 5 worst games, what I spent most of last week doing was uncovering the mystery of UFO 50's 51st game, which, as
yeah.
it turns out, is a thing.
Yes.
I fucking adore this game so much, Ryan. I think it is one of my favorite gaming experiences I've ever had.
I'm really upset that I don't enjoy it as much, honestly, because every time you talk about it, I get so excited, and then I go home and I play a little bit, and I'm like, oh,
See,
I'm not having the same amount of fun that he's having.
come into my gamer cave. This is RPG land in here.
I played that the Cowboy RPG one.
Yeah,
I
I
tried
don't
that.
like that one very much, if I'm being honest.
I thought it was okay.
It's
but-
very grindy. It's
Yeah.
just like it's a very old-fashioned JRPG, and I'm like, well, I thought you were gonna innovate on this. This is like playing Earthbound again. When I played Earthbound, not Earthbound, Mother 1.
Yeah.
So Earthbound 0. Or Earthbound Beginnings, I can't
doesn't
remember.
matter.
They renamed it like 3 times. It never even came out in
Doesn't
America
matter.
originally. When I played that, I gave it credit because, it was from the 1980s. But this is a new game in the style of a 1980s game. But the whole point is you're not supposed to recreate that grindy experience. You're supposed to make something different.
Yeah.
Divers should be the grindy one. As I talked about last
Yeah.
week, and I'm not going to go over again, but it's another RPG with, turn-based combat. And the way that game is set up, it's about grinding. It's about getting into the rhythm of it and getting into that kind of...
Yeah, the continual spread of
Yeah.
your influence as you go down.
And it's very meditative almost in that respect. Like, I find that kind of thing very, very relaxing.
Yeah.
But, like, Grimstone... It shouldn't be that. It should be better than that, in my opinion.
I don't know. I enjoyed it a bit, but I also just never got to a point where like it all made sense. Because the issue that I was running into was like I would be like I'm gonna pick this person.
Mm-hmm.
Can't remember their names, but I picked one of the persons, and their thing is they don't use guns, but they are like a spiritual person. So my thought in picking them was, if I get them now, eventually they'll be able to use like magic.
Yeah.
I played for a while. They never leveled up to a point where they could use anything.
So yeah, you're talking about the character Umbra. So one of the games in UFO 50 is called Grimstone. It is a Western JRPG. That is rather than a fantasy JRPG.
Yes, not Western as in we made it.
Also, yeah, oh my, I just realized how confusing. Like Western as in cowboys, Clint Eastwood, that kind of thing.
That's probably the whole point. That's probably why they made it.
Yeah, I'm realizing that now. It's a very mean joke. So the best part of the game, for me at least, is the very, very beginning where you have 8 different characters to choose from, but you can only make a party of 4.
Yep.
And the 8 characters are really cool. I had a really, 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 really hard time choosing between them. One of them is just a dog.
Yep.
His name is Rufus. He's a good boy. You can't directly control him because he's a dog, but you can give him dog treats to buff his stats.
Yeah.
One of the characters is Umbra, who is a Native American woman who is a bit like the spellcasting character. I don't know if that's problematic. That might be a little bit problematic. You don't get spells from leveling up from her. You have to find animals on the overworld map and in dungeons and stuff, and they will teach her spells because she can talk to animals.
Oh, so I have to like have her be the first one there.
No, you just see if she's in your party, and if you find an animal on the map, you just have to talk to them. It's just
Well, I tried that. I didn't do anything.
well, there's one rabbit like all the way in
Yeah.
the top left corner.
Yeah, that's where I went.
You talk to them?
I did not talk to them. They didn't. They just a rabbit. Maybe I didn't have her in my party at that point, but I was pretty sure.
I was gonna say, so the other spellcasting characters, Maria is kind of like a bard. In this case, since it's an Old West setting, she's like a tavern dancer.
Yeah.
She gets some spells from leveling up, but not very many. Like, I think I got the first one at level 6. Which, like...
Well, she can use a gun, right?
Yeah, she can actually dual-wield pistols. It's really fun.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's not as bad then.
There's a character named Lee. He's like a farmhand kind of guy. He looks like a big tough guy, but he has a ability called Study. And it's kind of like a blue magic from Final Fantasy, where you're learning spells from the monsters that you're fighting.
Okay.
I'm trying to think of why it wouldn't have worked for you if you had that character, because it's just simple as if she's in your party, then you can interact with this NPC in a different way.
Maybe I just literally didn't have her in my party the times I tried talking to it. But I thought I'd hunt it. That's what I was assuming I'd do.
The most interesting thing, again, like, is just picking the characters, because you only get to pick 4. You pick them right at the beginning of the game, and you can't change it at any point during the rest of the game. You start over and you play with new characters. The other thing that I think is really cool is you can have a party of less than 4 if you want to challenge yourself. You can literally have a game where you only have the dog and you don't have direct control over combat ever, and you will not get very far.
Did you try that?
No.
Okay.
No, I did not. My party is Lee, the farmhand guy, Maria, the bandit woman, Anna, the tavern dancer, and Umbra, the Native American woman.
Okay. I like the cowboy dude, the one who's like actually a cowboy.
Yeah, the classic Clint Eastwood guy. I had a really hard time not choosing him because he's like the fighter character who can use all the best equipment. But I wanted to focus on all the different spellcasting abilities.
Yeah, but I just couldn't get there far in there.
So that's a lot of time spent talking about Grimstone specifically.
Hell yeah.
The mystery behind the 51st game in UFO 50. I say it's a mystery because the 51st game is an alternate reality game.
Interesting.
You know what an alternate reality game is, Ryan?
I don't know, maybe.
Okay, well, for the benefit of our listeners, I will explain. So an alternate reality game is a thing that is most often used by, like, marketing teams.
Yeah,
but
okay.
is
so like an AR game where you're playing, or that's the augmented reality zone I'm thinking of.
Augmented reality is when you've got something like glasses on that you're looking at real life. You're not looking at a virtual thing like VR.
That's not what I'm talking about, actually. What I'm talking about would be, the example I can give is the game Infamous Second Son.
What's that one like?
Infamous Second Son. Have you played Infamous 1?
Which one's Infamous? Isn't that the
It's the one with the dude who looks like he's from the movie Crank.
Jason Statham.
Yeah, you can only see Jason Statham, and he has like a yellow jacket on. It's a PlayStation 3 game.
Is it the one where he's got the lightning superpowers?
Yes.
Yeah, that was an early. That was before the superhero craze
Yeah.
kind of came off. And they
Uh,
had original superhero characters.
uh, Infamous 1's pretty good game. Infamous 2's pretty good game. Infamous Second Son is the third game that is with a different character, but he has similar powers. He can actually get multiple if he touches multiple people, because in the universe that they created, multiple people have different control over different elements. Whatnot. Um, in Infamous Second Son, there is an ARG
Okay.
on the outside of the game that you can do, where you can follow this like line of like websites and whatnot.
Okay, that is an alternate reality. That is what I'm talking about.
Okay,
So I actually watched a
that's what I
video
meant.
that had to explain the difference between the two. For our listeners, augmented reality is like those Nintendo 3DS games where you have a video feed of real life,
And you
and it
shoot.
puts little game characters over it. Like the Xbox Kinect is an example of a lot of augmented reality games.
Yeah.
Alternate reality games are games that take place in real life, not digitally, although you often interact with them digitally on your computer. But we're pretending that reality as we know it is different. Like there is a fake organization, fake something going on, a conspiracy that you and literally thousands of other people, ideally, are uncovering.
Yeah.
Because it's like a puzzle hunt, a real life scavenger hunt almost, where the clues are so obtuse and obscure that it requires, a massive amount of people all working together in order to figure it out.
Like you might need to solve like an actual literal encryption thing,
Yeah.
and then you might have to go to a random Wikipedia article that doesn't seem to make any sense, but it has like 3 words in it that do make sense for what you're talking about, and you're like, ooh.
And then there's like elaborate situations where, like I believe it was before The Dark Knight came out, there was this big alternate reality game marketing
Oh, there might have been. I
thing.
don't remember.
And at like one point, like people had to go to like a certain location, so it only really affected like people in a certain city or whatever.
Yeah.
But everyone's following online, everyone's communicating, and like one person on one side of the world has figured out the solution to this one step, and then that creates a new roadblock, and then people on the other side of the world. I actually assumed that we'd have to, just point out there was technical difficulties. We're coming back now. It's just easier that way, I'd say.
Do you want to restart and get from there?
Yeah, you just clap anytime.
I did. I did. Then you started talking. I was like, okay, I'll wait.
My bad. Well, that counts. Just like let's just keep going from here.
nope,
No. We'll just explain.
Too late. I'm
Technical
clapping again.
difficulty.
I'm clapping again.
That's good. We should keep that.
All right. How much of that will make it in, we don't know yet. But what we do know is that something effed up in the recording again, because this is a really good day.
What are we naming this episode now, Ryan?
We're naming it the cursed episode. Give me 1 second. Keep talking, Ben.
I'm still talking, Ryan.
That's right.
Okay.
All right, and there we go. I could hear I could hear ourselves repeating in the headphones from over there, off camera, and I did not like that.
Cursed episode.
This is going great. This is perfect. I can't wait to see what things happen next week.
So, to resume what I was talking about before, alternate reality games are, a fun thing that you can do.
Yep.
And there is
Sure
one
are.
incorporated into the meta-narrative of UFO 50. If you remember for our previous episodes where I was gushing about this game, UFO's 50's framing device is that these games weren't created by these indie developers, rather they were discovered by these indie developers and were all created by an old defunct studio from the 80s called UFO Soft.
Yeah.
And there is an alternate reality game that you can uncover, and after you make a few steps into that, it is possible to unlock a new actual game in the game that you can play.
Cool.
But in order to make progress in that, you have to kind of keep on going back and forth between that game and the alternate reality game. So there's a dedicated UFO 50 Discord where, people are trying to figure out, like, the big mysteries behind the game, and it's still ongoing. Like, they don't really know, like, if there's more to it, because there's still, like, so many, like, little details that are so weird, and so many different things that they haven't tried yet. But it is fascinating.
That's really cool.
So I'll give some spoilers for, like, the first few steps of the alternate reality game, because
Spoiler warning.
people from the community really don't want, like, to spoil too much about it, because it's it's literally like a riddle hunt you have to go through.
Yeah.
And you can have fun figuring out the riddles on your own. But the first step is the game Night Manor, which is the
might be.
horror point and click adventure game.
I cherried that one.
If you cherried that one?
Yeah, that's my cherry.
That's awesome. Well, if you look at the description and it's in its history, it says it was created by a developer named Greg Milk.
Greg
And
Milk.
you'll notice that Greg Milk's name has a hyphen in between it.
That's odd.
Well, the game terminal, whenever you press start, it goes to like a pause screen that's universal for whatever game you're playing. There's a terminal option where you can type in codes for the games you're playing, and they're literally like cheat codes and stuff. Like after I beat Vilgress, it gave me a code to unlock a start with
Oh.
all the power-ups
Yeah,
code.
yeah. I knew that because I've seen the code entering thing.
Well, the code format is always 4 letters, a hyphen, and another 4 letters. So if you type in Greg Milk,
Oh.
you get this really fucking weird display. Like it gives you like this binary thing where it shows you a bunch of zeros and a single 1, and you're like, what am I looking at? Well, it turns out that 1, the zeros and 1 correspond to the different games on the list of UFO 50 games chronologically, and the 1 represents the game you have to go into to find the next clue, which happens to be Mini and Max.
Oh, okay.
And after that, when you go to the right spot in Mini and Max, which I'm not going to spoil that part, then you open up the terminal and it literally has a riddle on the screen, and that'll show you where the next game you have to go to in order to
That's
get
really
the next
cool.
clue. It is so cool.
I'm pretty sure I accidentally stumbled upon one of the clues.
Yeah?
Because at some point I found that thing and I just started putting stuff in, and I might have done that one. I might have done Milk H -H or whatever, whatever it is.
Greg Milk.
I might have done Greg Milk because I noticed something weird. I don't have much memory of it because I only did it once, and I was like, "This is nothing," and I moved away.
That's really funny.
I might go back to it at some point, but yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, at some point I'm going to like go through the whole riddle thing on my own, but there's some videos online that you can find describing it all, and any video of UFO 50, they will casually mention it, but they try not to spoil too much. But there is a 51st game, and like the entire experience around it is again super fucking cool.
I'm gonna be excited for when you cherry that one.
I don't know if you can actually cherry it because it doesn't show up in like your list of 50 games. It's something you only access from that terminal.
Yeah, so you have to go through. It might at the end.
Maybe.
I can see
So
that.
I guess the other thing I want to talk about in regards with UFO 50 is now that I have gotten the gift, which is like a special achievement for each game, my next step is to try to beat each game.
Yeah.
And since I literally can't stop talking about UFO 50, rather than having every single episode have like 1/3 of it dedicated to me just going on about what's going on in UFO 50, I figured I could do something where after I beat each game, I would give a little review for that episode. I would do one
sure.
review per episode. So like Velgress is like the 9th game on the list. I'm not going to get around to doing that until it would be in. I'm going to do them all in chronological order. So I'll have to beat the one before that, and then the Velgress episode will be next because I've already beaten that. I can already talk about it.
Right.
But unfortunately, with that format, that means that the very first game that I have to hardcore delve into
Is Barotrauma.
is Barbuda,
Buddha, yeah.
who is infamously.
Terrible.
Well, it's not okay. So I was playing it very, very hardcore yesterday, and I was having a bit of an enlightening experience. And I don't think it's universal. Not everyone's going to enjoy this kind of thing. But like, have you ever written a guide for a video game?
No, I've written reviews.
So, playing a game and like making a map, writing out details, making lists and notes and everything, it is a certain kind of experience that can be really, really fun to do. Like it feels like, problem-solving treasure hunt thing. So I've got on my second monitor a big Excel sheet, which I've stretched out the little tab so that it's a grid, and that's my Barbuda map. And in each one of the grid spaces, I write the notes for that room. So it's like, okay, kill all the enemies in this room, you get 100 gems, go to the shop, buy an umbrella, now you can go to that room that has the dripping acid, then you can get a chest, it has 50 more gems, you can use it to buy a pin, now you can pop the bubbles.
It sounds like you're solving the Takeshi's Castle video game.
What is that? Explain that to me.
You don't know the Takeshi Castle game?
It sounds very familiar.
Well, you know Takeshi's Castle, right?
That name is what sounds familiar.
Yeah, so Takeshi's Castle was an old Japanese show. It was a show where you had to like solve a giant maze.
Was it like a game show?
Yeah.
Okay, that sounds
game
awesome.
show.
That sounds awesome.
The fact that you don't know Takeshi's Castle is insane to
Well,
me.
it sounds a little bit like Legend of the Hidden Temple.
Unfortunately, we don't have the freaking screen here.
Yeah, so in our other recording studio, what we like to do is record our monitor so that we can display like video footage of like the things we're talking about.
But this is the cursed episode.
This is
so
the cursed episode.
We don't get that. what I can do is show Ben some stuff on my phone real quick. This guy, you've never seen any of this?
I mean, I think I probably have. I just haven't paid that much attention to it.
Dude.
So it is a game show where they go into a big, almost, is it almost like an escape room, like elaborate maze kind of thing?
Kinda. Let's give you like a quick. Well, I feel like almost anyone who watches this will have an idea. Oh, geez, that's the wrong direction.
It is a compilation of people running over obstacles and falling into water.
Sure is. That's the whole thing. This is Takeshi's Castle.
Okay.
It's kind of like Jackass almost, but with regular people.
There was a show I used to watch. What was it called? It had a ridiculous name.
Was it the giant red balls?
No, maybe. What do you mean giant red
Wipeout?
balls? It was like Wipeout. It was
Yeah.
like Wipeout, but it had these badly dubbed Japanese hosts, and they were obviously not actually dubbed. It was like voiceovers doing like funny impressions and stuff. Do you know about Legend of the Hidden Temple?
I'm pretty sure that is Takeshi's Castle. What you're talking about?
I mean, that show is very old. That was like early year one Nickelodeon.
Takeshi's Castle started in, where is it here? 1986.
Okay, so yeah, probably ripped off from the Japanese.
If it's
as
not
per
ripped
usual.
off, it's just straight up is.
Just straight up is.
But that's so Takeshi's Castle. The guy who made that is a man named Takeshi Kanto.
Okay.
He's very well known in Japan. Like, he's very popular.
Well, I've heard his name.
You certainly have. He's been in movies. He's been in all sorts of shows and stuff. He's probably been in some animes. I don't know.
Okay.
I'm assuming. The important thing is that back in 1986, he made a video game. He delved into that.
Okay.
It's called Takeshi's Challenge. It's terrible. The beginning of the game is you losing your job.
That's tragic.
And you have to go back to your wife, who you beat.
Jeez, what?
It's an option in the game.
Okay, so it's a humorous kind of thing.
She's like divorcing you.
A bad era of comedy.
Yeah. And it's kind of like an open world game, but it's like NES era.
Uh-huh.
And like JonTron has a video on it, an old video way back. I would recommend because it's like probably the easiest way to get an idea of what the fuck it is. But it's bizarre. And the idea is you have to solve the challenge, and the way you solve it is you have to like go to your boss, and when your boss fires you, you have to go to like a plant in the office and you break it and there's money there. That money you have to go to the pachinko parlor and you have to like spend money onto the pachinko. You have to play pachinko for like 5 hours.
Jeez.
And then you have to like get onto a plane and go to a different place.
So it's almost like an adventure game where you've got to follow the steps of the sequence to
Yeah,
get
but
the
there's
story.
no steps. There's no clear steps.
No clear step.
How you do anything, how anyone discovered anything is insane.
It's funny that like the story behind it is very similar to the story behind the Earthbound or Mother games.
Yeah.
Where the creator, who I am blanking on the name and now I'm quickly Googling on my phone, he is like a well-known celebrity in Japan. Like he's someone who like was known for like his music and his like other stuff, and he just wanted to make a video game, so he made a video game. Well, he made a Mother 1, which when it was finally released in America, Nintendo called it Earthbound Beginnings.
Sure.
But it would be Earthbound 1. The actual Earthbound should be Earthbound 2. Where is his name?
His name is something very, very interesting.
Siga... I can't. I don't want to accidentally pronounce his name.
I'll accidentally announce it wrong.
Itoi is his last name.
Shigetsuyo Itoi.
Yes, thank you. Apologies to Japanese people for mispronouncing anyone's name.
Japanese people don't care.
The thing is that like most of their names are pretty easy to pronounce.
It depends.
It's just like when you're not used to certain spellings, it's
really
like I don't even know what I'm looking at.
I don't want to get too off topic, but I really think it depends on the area.
Yeah, that's a good
Because there are
point.
places where you got like Shigeshi Miyamoto or some shit like that, and that's like in like I want to say the southern part of Japan, but then that's totally different from like the northern part. You'll have places in like Tokyo, that's where your name is Yuru.
Yeah, the lesson learned is do not stereotype, because even like a small island country like Japan has a lot of different variants in culture and
I would argue,
languages.
I would make one point. I think that they would prefer if you try as opposed to just defer.
Yeah.
I think most people would prefer if you tempt it. And if you fail it, it's like, that sucks, but like, whatever.
Yeah, just don't be a dick.
But that's what Barboda was reminding me of when you were describing what you're doing. Because you're going through each
Barbuda.
level... Barbo.
Keep on calling it the wrong thing every time, because I love that.
That's what Barbosa.
What is it called? Barbados?
Sounds like... when
I've
you're
never seen
describing-
Barbados.
when you're
Have you ever been to
describing-
Barbados?
I've never been to Barbados. When you're describing each individual map thing, and now that's what you're reminding me of. Is
Yeah.
Takeshi's Challenge.
Well, okay, so the thing that people most bring up is a game called La Mulana. Have you ever heard of that
Nope.
one? I have heard of it. I don't know anything about it. But, like, everyone who likes Barbuda, because there are people on the internet who really, really like Barbuda.
They're called old.
Well, it's not that they're old. They're like,
Yeah.
it's like La Mulana. And I'm
Okay.
like, well, what's La Mulana? Because that's not a retro game. That's an indie game.
Yeah.
You know? It's capturing a retro aesthetic, but it is more modern than that.
You haven't watched like a 12-hour video essay on it?
No, not yet. I don't think I'm gonna get. I'm gonna preserve that. I'm gonna
Okay.
maybe after I finish Barbuda, then
you'll
I
look-
will
then
take the
you'll look
time to learn
for-
about La Mulana so I can appreciate it better. But like, there are certain games like on UFO 50 that are very, very obviously referencing other games. Like
Yeah,
Fistel is very much Double Dragon.
Yeah.
Campanella 2 is very much Master Blaster, and just Sunsoft in general. And like when you know that, like Campanella 2 is a pretty interesting game on the collection. Have you tried that one yet?
I don't remember.
So Campanella 1 is the one where you play as a little spaceship and you have to go through a series of
Hated that.
stages. Campanella 2 is like a big expanded version. You play as the pilot's sister, Isabella, and you can control her, like walk around on the map, and then you can get into the spaceship and control the spaceship, and then you can duck into caves, and that'll go into like a 2D platforming sequence where you control the character and you shoot aliens and stuff like that. And then you explore like a greater world map with the spaceship. And it's very much like the game Master Blaster, where you do a similar thing but with a tank.
Okay.
Sunsoft games are really, really fucking hard, though.
Yeah.
And Campanella 2 feels like a really, really big game, but you can't save, and it's really hard, and I have no idea how I'm going to make any progress in that one. But that's way down on the list, so I'm not going to worry about that now.
God. Give me 4 weeks in between that one.
So if Barbuda is La Mulana, Fistel is Double Dragon, Campanella 2 is Master Blaster, it's always those ones I tend to be the most disappointed in because I want to see a bigger evolution on those games rather than just like recreating their own version of it. So I'm not gonna spoil Barbuda by learning about La Mulana because that's one I don't know about.
Gotcha. Cool.
What else do we have to talk about?
I have a wallet. Can you see?
So
I got a burger wallet.
this is we're gonna start incorporating video footage, like bonuses for anyone who actually watches these instead of just listens.
You can't see the inside of my wallet because it's got my ID in it, but that's my wallet.
Ryan wants to show off his wallet. It is
love it.
a hamburger wallet. It looks very Bob's Burgers.
That's one of the reasons I like it so much, but it's not Bob's Burgers at all.
It's not Bob's Burgers, but it looks just like that costume that Gene wears.
Yes, it does.
It's so funny.
I also wanted to talk about Isle of Dogs.
Oh, yeah. You guys watched that for movie night I had to skip, but I had already seen that one, so I didn't feel as bad.
I don't know if this is a good or bad thing. I think that's my first Wes Anderson film.
You think it is?
I think so.
You've never seen... Okay, what's the classic ones?
Royal Tenenbaums, never seen it.
Life Aquatic is the one that everyone's seen.
Never
Except
seen
me.
it.
I've never seen Life Aquatic.
Well, neither have I. I've also never seen... Is Grand Budapest Hotel, or is that one? No, that
Grand
one's
Budapest Hotel was the first one I saw. I adore that movie.
Haven't seen it yet. It's on the list. And then he's coming up with a new one recently, and I think Mike wants us to go see it in theaters when that comes out.
Oh, I'd do that.
Yeah, I knew. I'm down. But we watched Isle of Dogs, which for the uninitiated is a stop motion animated film about a boy in Japan who wants to go find his dog.
Yeah. The narrative is that there is like a garbage island,
Yes.
like in big cities like New York or I think this is off of Tokyo.
Jersey. Yeah, this is off Tokyo.
Yeah, they'll have like massive floats of garbage, like water dumps.
Yep.
Where they make an island out of it and have it like off the coast of it. And the narrative is that there's like packs of dogs that were abandoned on this trash island.
The narrative is that the government of Tokyo, I think it's Tokyo, is banishing all dogs in the entire city
Oh,
to
there was a
this.
specific like bias against dogs.
Partially because of the cat bias that they set up in the beginning of it, but also because there's a dog flu going around that could potentially spread to humans, so they're making sure to show them off into the.
Okay, yeah, that's actually a pretty good
Yeah.
narrative explanation.
So they shove them all off in this little island, and then because of this, the people who do love dogs, one of them really, really passionate about it, is like the mayor's ward.
Okay.
He's like his nephew. His parents died in a train crash or something.
Very Bruce Wayne, Dick Grayson kind of thing.
Yeah, and he steals a little plane and he gets over to the island and he gets there. He's like, I'm gonna save my dog, but he has to find him.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the narrative is him finding like a big pack of dogs who are all like, who all of them are home pets.
Yeah.
Except for one who's a stray, played by Bryan Cranston.
Yeah.
And he's got to like go through a journey to find Spots, his dog. And that's the whole movie, and it's really, really, really nice.
If I'm remembering correctly, the little Japanese boy never speaks English in the movie.
Nope.
He's not dubbed, he just speaks Japanese.
Yep.
The dogs are all dubbed in English, though.
Yep.
You understand what they can say.
Yeah, they make that point that like there are times when characters will be dubbed, but they'll be dubbed within the context of the film.
Yeah.
You're never gonna have like the actual character. I don't remember his name. I want to say it's Takeshi, unironically. No, it's Atari. It's Atari. I remembered. It's Atari. I was pretty sure it was Atari or Takeshi, but it was actually Atari Toyama because the mayor's last name is Toyama.
Ah, okay.
He doesn't ever speak English, and the only person they put in a foreign exchange student from America to ensure that someone will be able to translate him later in the movie. I can't remember her name, but she's great because she's like just like a white girl in high school, and she's got a giant afro.
Mm-hmm. An afro?
Yeah, she's an afro.
I need to rewatch the movie. I don't remember this character.
I don't know how. She's like one of the funniest scenes.
I watched that one on my own a while ago, and I remember really liking it, but also thinking I didn't like it as much as Fantastic Mr. Fox, which was
No.
Wes Anderson's other animated film. Stop motion animated at that.
I don't know. I haven't seen that one since I was a child. I have to rewatch that one. Okay, so that had to be my first one, technically.
Yeah, that's
I
gotta be
guess.
it. Also, I think it's my first one, technically, too.
Probably a lot of people's.
But when I first watched it, I was stoned as hell. I don't remember a damn thing, so
Nah, maybe we can just add that to the list.
add it to the list. Just rewatch Fantastic Mr. Fox.
Heck yeah.
Are you cussing with me?
If what's going on there is going on there, it better not be. Such a good movie. Wes Anderson's such a good director.
Yeah, he's one of those things that, like, he's got the particular style that everyone knows, but
Yeah.
I don't think, like, very few... It's... Okay, I just want to bitch about AI stuff, because,
Oh, sure.
like...
I love bitching about AI stuff.
It's a common thing. You'll see, like, fake movie trailers. It's a big thing on the internet right now. It is really, really obnoxious because your YouTube feed will be constantly fucking filled with trailers for movies that don't exist, will never exist, are just, convincing enough for you to click on, and then watch a shitty AI thing that's obviously not a real movie. But, like, initially when they started doing this, it was all Wes Anderson films, because you could copy Wes Anderson's style
Real easy with AI.
but they also reveal just how soulless AI is, because you're copying that style, but it still doesn't feel like Wes Anderson.
I don't know how fair it is, honestly, because I do despise a lot of generative AI. Generative AI specifically, because actual AI, like the stuff they use to determine what's a cancer cell and what isn't,
Yeah.
and similar nature of that shit's dope. Love all of that. Generative AI, the shit that is shoved down everybody's throat constantly 10 times a day, hate it to no end. But I want to be fair. I don't know if the fact that you can tell it's AI is the reason that you don't recognize it as anything other than that. That's a problem that I think needs to be solved first. I need to see something that I legitimately can't tell. And I can then at that point determine if the issue is that I know it's AI and therefore it's bad, or if the issue is that it's just bad.
Interesting.
And don't get me wrong. To be very clear, I'm not defending it if suddenly it's okay now, if I like it more not knowing. I don't think that makes it better. I just think that I don't like the idea of trying to be that judgmental on it without having that preemptive knowledge.
Never mind. Don't even have a thought.
Okay. But yeah, that's my one thing. I mean, I do hate it because of how much is being shoved down my throat and because of how scary it's getting. I
Yeah, it's definitely the deep fake video stuff that really fucks with me.
I have recently I was curious because I'm always curious about where this stuff goes, and I got ChatGPT a while ago, and like you can make your D&D character on it really easy, and that's kind of cool, but like it's not
Yeah.
a huge deal. Um, I recently got the Google's VEO2, which if you don't know what that is their video thing,
Okay.
and I started trying to just make videos within that. It looks so real.
Yeah.
Like unironically, you shouldn't be able to tell. You can't really tell. I don't know if you saw the videos that people made where they interviewed peasants from like the 1800s.
No, I've never
Dude,
seen that.
it's fucking bonkers because like they're obviously you know you can't be real because obviously,
Because obviously.
but like it looks like the 1800s in your head, or at least like what movies have presented it as, which is also fake because there was way more color back in that time than movies like to present. But it, I just hate it. I hate how legitimate it looks.
The disturbing thing for me is that, like, have lived most of our lives in an era where we had the concept of photographic proof.
Yeah.
You know? Like, things were verifiably real and fake. Photoshop existed, but, like, it was never to the point where you could legitimately.
You could legitimately Photoshop something to look like something illicit or whatever, but to do that well enough to where it would be like microscopically checked was the amount of effort you were not able to put in,
Mhm.
or 99% of the people would not think it worth.
Did I ever tell you about my experience with an AI phone scammer?
Yes, I think you have told me, but why don't you tell the audience?
Yeah, I just like because the one detail of it is the part that messes with me the most.
Yeah.
So one day I get a, text from a wrong number. It is a scam artist. I'm guessing that it's probably a scam artist when I'm texting them back saying you got the wrong number, and then they want to have a conversation and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's
Because
weird.
like if you text someone wrong by accident, you don't want to start talking to them all day.
No.
Not a real person would anyway. The thing is that I wasn't thinking it was AI. I was thinking it was just, another person on the other side.
Yep.
And I wanted to test the bounds of that. And when, I would have long conversations at night and, followed by periods of them saying, hey, I've got to go to work. And then they would be gone for like several hours and they wouldn't respond and stuff like that. There was like, patterns that were meant to establish that it's like a real person.
Yep.
And they would occasionally send me photos of themselves,
Yep.
which were AI generated. And the most disturbing detail was the video they sent me, which was of the AI photo character that I was showed before, but speaking and interacting and using my name.
Yeah.
So it was a 5-second video. Like, it is definitely easily fakeable, but it looked like a real person saying my name
Yep.
that, they would have had to have learned from my text messages.
Yep.
And of course, like, at that point, I'm thinking it is real until they start wanting me to buy gold. And then I'm like, oh, wait a minute. AI is a thing that exists. That's
Yeah.
how they did all of this.
You talked about this with us way back forever when we did a board games week. I think it was back when we were in the restaurant. We used to play board games in a restaurant. I forgot there's people in there. Yeah, we heard about it, and you were telling us about it, and you showed us the video. Which if you still have, you can send it to me. I'll try to put it in here.
I don't think I still have it.
That's fair, but I'll just make one.
You got to have a very, very pretty Korean girl saying my name.
We'll see what happens. Whatever it spits out, I'm gonna do. Maybe it'll be a guy. Who knows?
Yeah, just keep it. It'll be whatever's best.
A very, very large Filipino man.
Okay, and you were saying.
And yeah, you were telling us about this at that time. And at the time, we watched the video, and the video didn't look like that real. But I was going in with the context of knowing a lot about this is a really big topic at that period of time, and not being infatuated. I shouldn't say infatuated. Not having had the conversation for that period.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't have the same level of like down to you, or like same level of investment that you had. So for me, it kind of looked weird, at least weird, but I didn't know necessarily that it was AI.
Yeah.
Couldn't say for certain until you were talking about them trying to sell you gold.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, well, obviously.
Dude, the funniest thing when that happened though is I was telling my friend Max, who actually works here at the studio.
Yeah, he's
I
our
was telling him
executive
like about the
producer.
entire experience. Like I'm talking to this girl, like we've been exchanging messages. She sent me pictures. I've sent her pictures. She sent me this video. This is weird, right? Like it's like obviously a scam artist, but they're investing so much time into me. And I'm like, well, maybe it is real. And then boom, on my screen, as I'm showing him this stuff, text comes up, hey, I want to text you this proposition. It's like buying gold and stuff like that. I'm like, okay, never mind. We see it and we're like, okay, no, this is definitely a scam artist.
Yeah, that's terrifying. Do you want to know what other thing that I've seen recently that's terrifying?
What's that?
People who are talking to ChatGPT like it's like their wife.
Dude, oh my god. Do you remember the big AI girlfriend thing for a while?
I
Those phone apps
recall
you could
it,
get?
but like those were really bad because they were like preconceived messages and just like recordings.
They were really bad, but they still sucked people into them, you know?
Yeah, now it like that but worse.
It sucks because it's always like incredibly depressed, lonely people who then just get criticized for being stupid.
Yep.
And I'm like, okay, well, maybe they are, but that doesn't mean they don't deserve like
No,
some empathy.
they should like get help, but like I don't know what to do.
Help ain't free.
Help's not free.
But the you can download your virtual girlfriend for free, free trial for a couple of weeks, and you just need to pay like a subscription to access
Yeah,
that.
and then you'll feel something.
The
you
sex
know?
chat feature.
Bro, it's just crazy. That's crazy to me. And then on top of that, it's just like the whole AI thing. I want to tell you my possibly controversial take.
Okay.
It's actually definitely controversial. I think personally, in my opinion, every single person who has worked on a generative AI should go to prison.
Whoa.
Now, I think that's extreme.
I thought you were gonna say something completely different. Okay, yeah, that's a hot take, dude.
At least the people who made the decision to allow these bots to scrape all of the internet.
Oh, well, yeah, the just like freaking copyright labor stealing infringement alone, like that. At Microsoft, they just scrubbed the internet. They scrubbed people's personal emails.
Yeah.
That's
Correct.
insane.
And like
Yeah, okay, not as controversial as
those people, at least the people like at the very top, maybe not the engineers themselves, maybe the people who are pushing the button, but the people who made the decision to do that and didn't do any sort of double checks to make sure they said, we'll just do it and ask for forgiveness later.
I mean, the only double checking they did was like to say, okay, there is not law on this, so that we can get away with this for a long time before.
I think all those people should go to prison.
Yeah, I think I'd agree with you on that, actually, now that you've explained it that way.
There's an argument you can make about, how you can't really own stuff on the internet to a degree. And, like, I almost see it, because, like, technically, like, you can draw, like, a D&D character. Maybe Alex will at some point. He draws a D&D character. I can just take it from his website and use it.
Yeah, there's nothing that can stop you from doing that.
No, but the major difference is that I'm not selling that service. And even if I was selling that service, I'd have to go to him and be like, hey, I want you to be a part of this, or buy the rights to this. And you can make the argument, well, you shouldn't really own anything. Ownership's like a whole thing you can have if you're, very, very communist, which people are, just whatever.
I could get into that.
You could
Maybe
get into.
We could have an episode where I explain that property is theft concept.
I'm not even trying to dispute or anything. I'm just making the point that that's not the world that we live in.
No.
The world we live in, people who are artists tend to struggle to get money and food.
Yeah, they need to get paid, and people like art, but they do not appreciate its actual value in terms of the labor that's put into it.
Yeah, because you're not paying someone to paint you a thing. You're paying for that person to spend like 10 years of their life learning how to paint properly.
Yeah, and then spending that time actually painting the thing.
Because it'll take, like, if you want something really well done, really painted really well, it's going to take, like, months, probably.
Yeah. Well, an 8-hour work day, you know? Yeah. Like, you can finish a good painting in, like, a couple of shifts, but it's going to... And it's not even just the time invested, but...
Yeah. There's a whole load of information here. And these companies took all of that information, said, fuck it, we're going to put all of it into this thing, give it away for free, effectively, for a while.
For a while. And they stole the artist's work, which is what they did when they scrubbed the internet for all that data. And now what they are mostly trying to do is use it to replace the artists themselves.
And it's like, I just think you should be in jail. I think that you should go to prison. I get there's arguments against it, but I don't think the arguments hold water. They just stole all of it.
Yeah. If we were to talk about AI as a tool, so my hot take is AI can be a very good thing.
Yeah.
Like, it is a very powerful and useful tool.
I've-
And I imagine, like, an artist, like, say someone who is making their own video game
Yeah.
and is doing all the art themselves and has, like, a particular style, like, if you're able to fill in a lot of the gaps in your, like, of all the images you have to create with
You literally
AI.
just take like DeepSeek, which is the Chinese version that's a lot cheaper and whatever, open source. Take that, you put it on your computer, and you run a bunch of your art through it.
Yeah, your own art using the tool to recreate it. That's not stealing.
That's really cool. A great idea, and it could be really helpful. That isn't what's being done.
way back. So weird pivot, but back in Baroque Italy, there was an artist named Bernini.
Okay.
Okay, he was one of the greatest artists to ever lived, like the next Michelangelo of his era. In my opinion, one of the best technical painters, sculptors, architects who has ever lived.
Noted.
But I always think of this artist in particular because big famous artists like him had lots of understudies, had apprentices, guild
yeah.
members underneath them, and the famous pieces of art that they're known for, they made, but they had their understudies help them. They had their understudies do a lot of the actual work. Like if you look at a piece like Apollo and Daphne, you can go to like the leaf patterns. It's Apollo and Daphne is a Greek story of the god Apollo chasing a nymph and her turning into a tree. Mm-hmm. And the statue depicts mid-transformation. The leaf work can all be done by a particular understudy. Like we know that guy's name.
Yeah.
I don't know his name because I can't remember names. I only remember the big man's name, which is Bernini, the artist who is the one who takes credit for the whole statue.
Even though it's only like some of or like maybe the main part that he did, but everything else is done by other people.
Exactly. Like he would do the most difficult parts, but like his understudies would still do like pretty impressive work, and they don't receive any credit at all for that kind of thing. But that was pretty standard at the time, and they would go on to become artists themselves. Presumably. That's the kind of stuff. It's like, this is where AI could be a tool filling in those gaps. It could be instead of having a bunch of understudies stealing their work, you're using a computerized tool to recreate what you're doing.
Kind of like if you wanted to have a character wear a plaid shirt.
Yeah.
And you didn't want to draw every bit of the plaid.
No, you
Place it with AI.
Boom.
Or there's probably a tool somewhere. I don't know.
But that's not how it's being used.
Nope.
Instead, we have it replacing writers in Hollywood movies.
Do you want to know the areas where I've seen it be the most horrifically egregious?
Pardon my cough.
Have you ever needed to go to Microsoft's help support?
No, but I've had to use Google's.
Google's has to be bad. Microsoft's is worse.
Oh, okay.
I lost access to my Microsoft account because I forgot my password. I changed my phone number. Didn't remember that I'd had my Microsoft account attached to my phone because I didn't for years. I only did it because I wanted to play a game or something, probably. Forgot that. Couldn't get access to my Microsoft account at all. Had to reinstall Windows, pretty much, make a new one. The reason is because when I went to get support, I couldn't find a person.
Yeah, it's just an AI chatbot.
It's an AI chatbot. And what's worse about it is that all the AI chatbot is doing, very literally, is replacing the flowchart system of chat they used to have.
Yeah.
Which they already had.
They already had the flowchart, but they had to pay an actual human being who would be the final step in actually helping you solve the problem.
And now they just have the flowchart, but you don't get this final step.
Yeah, you just can't finish. You can't get help.
I tried getting in contact with somebody, and I ended up having to call, and I had to use a very specific method to get to a human. Mm-hmm. When I got to that human, they couldn't help me anyway, because they were there for like finance stuff in case you need to pay for something, and you couldn't. Well, obviously they don't deal with like accounts and stuff, so even though I got to a person and they should have the power to help, they couldn't.
It's very similar to a situation I had where I had to replace my phone and I had to get information from my old broken phone, which I could not turn on anymore.
Yeah.
And like it had to do with transferring Google accounts and Samsung accounts. And at the end of the day, like I just couldn't do it. And there was no one who could help me. And I could not get any support through like Google's support system at all because I could not talk to a human.
Yeah.
And I ended up just having to return the phone and buy a different one.
Yeah, it's crazy to me how much worse support has gotten over the years. It's just gotten worse every year.
Yeah.
To a point where I'm like, I don't even understand why you would even have a help button on your fucking like website.
I just had the thought that this really is the cursed episode, and that we used to talk about fun things like Elden Ring and UFO 50, and now we're just bitching about AI.
Hey man, I love bitching about AI. It's one of my favorite topics to bitch about because I use it. Not often, but I use it.
Mm-hmm.
One thing I wanted to add, apparently a lot of coders are using AI a lot now. Like it's getting way more in depth with that.
I mean, that makes sense to a certain extent.
I don't know. I have heard mixed things. Some people say that AI will make you unfinished code and you'll have to finish it anyway, and that process will take the time it would take for you to just do it from scratch.
Oh, the classic Wizards of the Coast pre-made adventure.
Yeah. Some people will say that, like, actually, if it's good enough to where if you type in the right stuff, it'll get you what you need, and you can fill out what you need to do the rest. I don't know. I'm not a coder. I've tried many times. I have a lot of trouble trying to get deep into it, but that's one part of AI that I've heard is like been very useful lately.
The extension I've ever wanted to delve into coding is to know enough JavaScript to make my own version of Cookie Clipper. Like I don't have deep ambitions there. I just want to like mess around and try shit.
I want to make video games. It's just hard.
I miss the era, the Internet 1.0 era. I don't know how well you remember that before Facebook was a thing.
Vaguely.
It was a beautiful place. That was your, Wild West, free range internet, communist utopia. Everything was free.
I played some video games on a random website, and I don't remember the name of it anymore. That's what I did.
The games I used to play. So I used the original Flash games that I got into as a kid were all off the Cartoon Network website.
Oh, yeah?
Cartoon Network, back in the day, actually had a collection of fantastic video games. I was just thinking of... Okay, so there's this classic arcade game called Quicks, I think.
Okay.
You've seen this in variations. You've seen this as mini games in other places, I'm sure.
Sure.
But imagine like a big rectangular field, the screen, and there's like bouncing obstacles inside, and you control a thing that makes a line, and you have to divide the field into segments to capture the bouncing objects in it.
Definitely.
So that's a classic arcade game that's recreated in a lot of different places. I think about it because it was in the game Bully, and I've got a little anecdote about that. But Cartoon Network had a version where you play as Dexter's Laboratory, and he's cloning chickens, and he's trying to fence the chickens in.
Pretty sure I played that.
You played that one?
Pretty sure.
He's got like a laser fencing system so that if the line intersects with any of the chickens that are wandering around, it'll electrocute them.
Yeah.
Very funny. Very fun game. Like a really, really good recreation of this like classic arcade game.
And now
they had
Flash is dead.
They had fantastic adventure games. They had this fantastic Samurai Jack action game. They had this a Justice League one too, where you played with like Wonder Woman fighting Hades. Like these were really good.
I played one with Danny Phantom. I think that might have been Nickelodeon. Danny Phantom was
Danny Phantom's a Nickelodeon. I've never played any Nickelodeon.
It was pretty good.
Online games back in the day.
I used to play a lot of online games. That's all I had access to. I used to play like stuff on Congregate.
So the Bully anecdote. This is a weird thing. So related to specifically that arcade game. Back in the day, pornographic video games have been a thing since as long as video games have been a thing.
Pretty much, yeah.
Always kind of an underground, crappy scene.
Yep.
But one of the most common would be versions of that game. But when you finish the image, when you finish dividing up the segments...
A female.
Exactly. It would show you an image of a naked woman. In the game Bully, it's the mini game for the art class.
Okay.
And every single painting that you finish is always of the art teacher herself.
Interesting.
Who is this knockout babe.
Okay.
And just like me putting this together from like learning this historical anecdote, it's like, wait, is that what you're doing, Rockstar? You're making like, is that what you're referencing? You're not thinking of the original arcade game. You're thinking of those. That's funny.
That's pretty funny, actually, yeah. I never got into Bully. I had trouble.
Bully is my favorite because it's the lowest stakes. Smallest map, you play as a kid, you don't use guns, you just ride around in your little moped onto the football field, hitting the jocks with a baseball bat and then driving away before they can catch you.
Yeah.
The experience I always wanted to have as a teenager.
All right. I think it's about time to end. I'm not sure. It's hard to tell. We had technical issues.
Well, you could do... Oh, no, we don't have much time left. I was going to say we could just do a double-length episode since this is the cursed episode and we missed episode 4.
We could keep going. I don't mind keep going a little bit.
Nah, I think I'm My voice is starting to feel a little sore from all this talking.
Valid, you did talk a lot.
I'm a big talker.
You're a big talker. I'm a small talker. All right, well, if you've made it to the end of this episode, geez, thanks, man. That's crazy. This is rough.
That was a rough one.
Really,
Last week we were slapping each other on the back over how great it was. This win, we're like, okay, thank God it's over.
I mean, I think it's still fun. I don't know. I think it's good. Okay, I'm going to put this out there. I will censor my own words if need be.
Okay.
Would you be interested in trying to make a redo episode where we record twice?
What do you mean?
Maybe we could record like on Monday or Tuesday another episode to try to like make up for it.
Yeah, I'd be down for that. I'm
Sick.
free on both Monday and Tuesday as it happens.
I will double check. I'm realizing now that I get out of work at 5:30.
Well, if it's open in the evening, let's do that.
We'll see. I don't think it is.
That is a little excerpt of what we talk about, listeners.
Yeah.
We're making plans.
So we'll try to figure that out. We might be able to get you another episode to make up for the fact that we missed last week because like I feel really bad about it.
If we do that, I will redo my top 5 worst.
It is.
games.
It isn't almost entirely. I feel bad for Alex specifically because I guess he messaged me on Discord. I was like, "Where's my starting topic?" He's our only fan.
Our only fan.
Wait, no.
Let's end the episode.
Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. You've been on YouTube before, you know what to do. Please do all that. Helps us out. We would appreciate it. We want to get rich so we don't have to have jobs anymore. Thanks.
Yeah, I don't want to work for a living anymore.
This is not work. This is fake. We all do fake stuff. Bye.